This episode of Cognitive Dissonance is brought to you by our patrons. You fucking rock.
It's like it's always been the podcast patrons who cut the vision of giving, beginning with Patreon itself, out of their private means. Some of you little precious ones have that little pizza money, some of that little money set aside. Assure tonight your support of Tom and Cecil by giving it to the show and speaking that. Say it. Guys, this is for congratulations on your 400th episode.
Hey, Cecil and Tom, this is Stephen Hines, author of Rebirth Defect, My Journey from Catholic Altar Boy to Teen Atheist to Adult Christian Metal Evangelist and back to atheism. And I'd like to wish you a happy 400th episode. Glory hole, motherfuckers.
Hey guys, it's Michael Schaefer from Reasonable Risk Podcast. Congratulations, 400 episodes. Never would have thought that Eli's best friend and a random goon could last so long. Glory hole.
Congratulations, Cecil and Tom, on your 400th episode. Glory hole.
Congratulations, Cognitive Dissonance,
on show 400
from the Missionary Position Podcast.
Glory hole, motherfuckers.
Hey, Tom and Cecil. Congrats on 400 episodes. This is Mike with Mike and Sarah's Best Picture podcast. We're watching all the Best Picture movies, and we record an episode about each in chronological order. So feel free to check us out. Congrats again, Glory hole.
Hello, Cognitive Dissonance listeners. This is Garrett Harvey.
And Tim Richardson.
From the Why I Hate This Album podcast, wishing Tom and Cecil a happy 400th episode. But since Cognitive Dissonance only takes up an hour of your week, why not spend one of the remaining 167 hours listening to our podcast, Why I Hate This Album?
Shameless plug.
Over 350 episodes ago, I gave you a crappy 4-star review. Sorry about that. I deserved that tongue lashing. Happy 400th.
Hey, Tom and Cecil. Happy 400th episode. I love you guys. Glory hole.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Cecil. It's Devil Dog Josh. Wishing you guys a happy 400th episode at the Glory hole. Enjoy yourselves. Keep the laughs rolling. And also, at the same time, I would fucking love an episode of you guys just talking about all the times you nearly died. I would share mine, too, because holy fuck, I got like over a dozen. They're fun. Well, besides that, thanks for the laughs. Glory hole. Bye.
This is Amy with a Y.
And Amy with an I.
Your arch nemesis from the Secular Soup podcast, calling to say that even after 400 episodes, we're still better than you.
Cogdis sucks. Eat your soup, bitches.
Happy 400th episode to you. Happy 400th episode to you. Happy 400th episode. Glory hole. Happy 400th episode to you.
Hey, Tom and Cecil, I just wanted to say happy 400th episode. I'm a recent atheist, and you guys kind of helped me figure out who I am and, like, what I want to be in the world. So, thanks. Glory hole, motherfuckers.
Hey, Tom and Cecil, this is Brentley. I just wanted to say happy, congratulations on the 400th. That's fucking crazy. You want to check out our show? It's Unapologetics, spelled with an X. It's on SoundCloud and Stitcher, and so we're just a mixed couple, and we talk about all the atheist issues and fucking just all sorts of cultural issues and shit like that. So if you want to check it out, it'd be fucking awesome. But love you guys. You guys are fucking awesome. Fucking glory, fucking hole, motherfuckers.
Hey, Tom and Cecil, this is Doc, the atheist out in the South. I just wanted to call and wish you guys a happy 400th. That's amazing. Thank you for making it a little bit more bearable that I live in this shithole of a fucking state. Glory hole, motherfuckers.
Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago, this is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news. What you doing over there, Cecil? What are you doing? Oh, that's dangerous. Playing with your keys during the intro.
I was
silent. Silent like a game of operation.
I was moving them like the crane game. I didn't want to interrupt you, and I didn't want to make the sound. Like I didn't want to be like David Smalley in studio, like when you're
just
banging on everything,
slamming on stuff.
Exactly.
Like it's the first day you've been around a microphone.
Yeah.
That was like reverse operation. Yeah. That's what that was. Instead of like pulling the fucking funny bone out, you were like pulling the keys out. Yeah, it was very nicely done. Yeah. That makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical.
Dark in here.
It's political. And I've been interrupted.
Twice.
There is no welcome mat. This is episode 401 of Cognitive Dissonance. This is Seth Andrews was from the Thinking Atheist. He was in studio. He was a great guest. We had him out. He was nice enough to come to the Windy City and enjoy our winter.
Yeah.
So, and we recorded with him for such a lengthy amount of time that not only is he the guest for 400, but he is now the guest for 401.
So we have a couple stories with Seth. We're going to introduce him to Alex Jones this episode. That's coming up later. We're also going to do an interview with him.
We introduced him to Alex Jones. Is that like, do we send the apology card now?
I know that he knew who Alex Jones was.
Do we send the apology to his wife?
So
now?
I feel like we didn't introduce. We just reintroduced him.
Again, like, when do we apologize for that? Although I don't know, like, I feel like that's a gift.
Yeah, he loved it. He thought it was great.
Who doesn't?
He thought it was great. So.
Do you know what my life goal is?
I don't.
To be on that show, to be on InfoWars.
I think we should invite Alex Jones to come in studio.
Holy shit, that would be amazing.
I think we should invite him to come in studio.
He would be. Oh my God. I just need a moment. I need a moment to process that idea.
Before the end of the night, either Tom and him are shirtless and drunk or Tom and him are fighting.
Shirtless. I just know we're not wearing shirts.
Yeah,
like no matter how that night ends.
I think it's more the latter, though. I think you guys would get into a fist fight because you've seen him get interviewed and he's super mean and he's shitty, and so he would be.
Are you suggesting that I wouldn't tolerate that super well?
I think that there would be a fight. I would just be sitting back. I'd videotape it. Right? I'd be like, whatever, guys.
That would be a great live stream.
I'd be like, all right, here we go.
Know what? Like he would be something to like.
He's a dense guy. He's
beefy,
he's like a big dwarf.
Yeah, right. And my axe, like you broke your axe in the scene prior. Anyway, it's not about you.
So we're going to be back later on. We're going to have Seth on, and then he's going to talk about Alex Jones. We're going to talk about Alex Jones. Then we're going to have an interview with him, talking about his current projects, and then we're going to come back, talk about patrons, talk about episode 400, 401, and do some emails. So enjoy us with Seth, pre-recorded.
1,000 years ago, there was a great conjunction. 3 suns lined up. Another great conjunction coming up. Anything could happen. The whole world might burn up. The great conjunction is the end of the world. Oh, the beginning?
This story is also the raw story. Jerusalem expert slams Pence for treating his city like an end of days biblical theme park.
I'm sorry, it's not. Jerusalem is not a theme park.
You got to ride the holy roller coaster.
Did he leave? Did Mike Pence
holy
leave?
Roller coaster? Holy roller.
All right,
is the joke. It's holy roller. It's like when you call somebody very religious. Tom,
I see a holy
you
roller.
Call them a holy roller,
and then
you just add coaster at the end. You just add the coaster at the end.
Then
it's like that's how it works. Go on. No, go ahead. No, you just ignore my joke. No, it's cool. It's fine.
I just wanted to comment that Mike Pence is unnaturally smooth. Like, did you guys know? You've ever noticed that he has no facial features except for the ones?
He's like punched out of Play-Doh.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we'll put a mouth here. That's just your thumbnail. It's like he's like manufactured by an alien who's like, this is about what I think they look like.
He's made out of Play-Doh, and he's rolled behind the couch, and he's got the frizz,
like
the stuff, the fuzz that's underneath the couch from the cat. Like that's on his head.
Like it's so weirdly smooth. It's like somebody took like a baby's ass and put an eyeball on it. Like it's just
thanks to the two of you from this day forward, this is all I will ever see. When I see Mike Pence.
God.
I looked up, and as you were describing the image, I was like, oh my God, they're absolutely right.
Now, what's scary about this? And this has been going on for a while. Now, when you were religious, was it a lot of revelation stuff in the religious stuff?
That
you were?
was, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We did a lot of end times theology, and
yeah. So a lot of these people are starting to think like he's really sort of setting up a lot of the, like doing a lot of fulfilling of prophecies to make it the end times come about. I mean, like, and these people that believe that there's an
really
end
worried about
times,
this. Yeah, or they're happy.
they're
about
happy
it.
about
Yeah, not
it,
worried.
because they think there's an end times, and they think he's sort of putting all the pieces in place for an end times to happen.
I'd actually like to hear your experience. Like, were like the people that you knew that were like end times revelation interested, were they pro end times, or were they like worried about it?
Honestly, they had a lot of cognitive dissonance. They had a lot of, I mean, it was it's an odd thing. It's like the people who believe the most in heaven in the faith are the ones who seem most afraid of death. It's just this weird paradox, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was the same. They celebrated and couldn't wait for Jesus to come back. And at the same time, they were all freaked out about Jesus is going to come back. And it's that way, everything they would read in the paper, prophecy is always fulfilling in hindsight. When you take and bend whatever headline there is into whatever scripture or whatever sermon that you happen to hear. And especially in our family with my father, the legitimization of Israel as the state and God's chosen people all coming together. This is, again, one of the dominoes that must fall. And after a series of them all fall, then we hear the trumpet and Jesus comes back. And we would say at face value that, we couldn't wait to go to heaven and we can't wait to all be together. But at the same time, I think, at least in my own experience, we were just fine living right here. And we were kind of weird about the idea.
Yeah.
And, when we talk about heaven in my churches, they would always talk about heaven in these weirdly nebulous terms. I mean, it's hard to get excited about a place that you can't really get your mitts on.
Can I ask about that too? Because I'm actually really curious about that, because hell is always described like, I guess I have a better idea of what a lot of people would think hell looks like.
Yeah.
Physically. And like what's going to happen when you get there and all the tortures and torments and, the lakes of fire. And there's like a geography here, like we have this idea. And then heaven is just like, oh, that's really good.
It's good.
I think the same's true with Satan as a character. We think of Satan in terms of exact physical features. We even maybe hear Satan's voice. We kind of see a character or personality behind Satan. But if you say Yahweh, it's always like what they show in the movies, there's always this meaty Satan character in the whole film. And at the end, there's just a big orange light that comes from the clouds. Yeah. And it says, I defeat thee, Satan. And you have no idea what God looks like. He's just this nebulous other that you can't really take personally. And heaven is very much the same way.
It makes it harder to look forward to.
Yeah.
Hell is easy to be scared of, right? You described it. Sounds real bad. Like that sounds like Florida. Like it sounds terrible.
Sounds terrible.
It sounds terrible. Like not even Miami. Like just
Florida.
like
the thing that made heaven
attractive.
The thing that made heaven attractive to us wasn't the geography of heaven. I mean, you can say pearly gates and streets of gold and mansions and crowns and all that stuff, but it was really more about I lost my best friend in a car wreck and we're going to be together again. I lost my mother, father, child, and it's all, there will be a reunion. That was our heaven in a great many ways. But if you read the actual text of Scripture, if you see the Bible's version of heaven beyond all that, essentially we as believers go to heaven and for eternity we kiss God's ass. We say, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty who was and is to come. And we just essentially sing praises to God at Jesus' feet.
Oh, it sounds terrible.
And I'm like, send me to hell.
That's hell.
Send me to hell.
Yeah. We had it's interesting because when I was a believer, and we actually had a gentleman on by the name of Drew Beckius.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm mispronouncing his name.
Let's ask his mom.
That's Drew's mom. He came in studio. He wrote a book, and so he came in studio, and we had a chat with him, and we were talking about because he went to Moody Bible Institute here in Chicago, so he was ready to be a priest, a pastor.
Yeah, but once his hormones regulated, it was just Bible.
Yeah, then it was fine. He wasn't as moody anymore.
Yeah.
He didn't have as many tantrums. But he was talking about, the idea of living forever, and I was talking to him about it. And to be honest, when I was a believer, living forever scared the shit out of me. It scared I think I was more terrified of living forever than I ever was about death, because living forever for me, and I said this on the show before, and it was that, you get to experience, if you live forever, you get to experience the heat death of the universe. Like, you get to see everything die and you are still there. That's scary as fuck. Like, that's way scarier than one day I just blink out and I'm done.
Does it remove some of the urgency to do what needs to be done? Does it take away the preciousness of life when it becomes,
if you're forever and ever? Absolutely. Right. And, why does it matter if I just sit here and watch, a couple of reruns of Seinfeld? It doesn't matter. My time doesn't matter then, right? Because time is infinite for you at that point. But it's, I will say, when I was growing up, I was terrified of the rapture. I grew up in a Catholic household. My father was Lutheran, but I had friends whose parents were religious, and they were afraid of the rapture. So they talked to us about it, and they scared the shit out of me as a kid with the rapture, because I had never grown up. I didn't know anything about it. And they're adults. So immediately you think, well, they're telling you the truth. Why would this adult lie to me? Yeah. And I was terrified, absolutely just stone terrified of the rapture. I mean, I was like, nightmares and just freaking out about it and constant like, oh my God, because to them, just like now, the end times is coming. The end times, and it's for them. They're like, all these signs are in place. There's all these signs in place. I had a 6th grade teacher stop the class one day and start talking about how all those signs are in place for, the rapture to come about. Yeah, 6th grade public school teacher stopped class. And
that's insane.
In my math class to tell the story about how.
What was the transitional moment?
I know
you don't know, but I don't even know. It's like you're up there, you got your chalk, and you're like, all right, guys.
Okay, 6 plus 7. You know what that reminds me of.
I know, right?
Yeah. No, but I remember he spent 45 minutes of that class talking about all the different signs that were in this moment. And I remember being really fucking afraid. Like, he was basically telling a ghost story to all the kids in class, holding the fucking flashlight up to his face.
Rapture theology is used to keep people in check.
Yeah.
It's used to keep people. I wrote a book in 2015 called Sacred Cows. And I did a chapter on the end times predictions over the last 2,000 years. Every generation had its prophets who said, this is it, people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cleto, we're here we're right here at the midnight hour, and it's going to happen on this date. How many times was Harold Camping wrong? 4. And that's just in the last 15 years, right?
Yeah.
Every generation has had this narrative that it's pitched. Every generation has been absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
And I think this is no exception, but it's still powerful for people who are watching Israel, the state of Israel, the Israel-Palestine conflict over land.
Well, and it's going to affect our politics.
Yeah.
This fucking nonsensical jibber-jabber bullshit is going to affect actual human beings. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, who cares if somebody wants to buy themselves a Jim Baker slop bucket? It's your fucking money. Buy your dehydrated corn chowder if you need to, right?
Yeah.
But these are high stakes situations.
Yeah.
When you have somebody like Mike Pence, you have the Vice President of the United States who goes over to Jerusalem and believes this fucking nonsense and is going to act based on this nonsense being true and has a narrative in his head that he hopes plays out in a way that enforces or reinforces this gobbledygook made up storytelling bullshit. Like, it's not like this is a stable part of the world where we can afford to make a lot of diplomatic mistakes.
Yeah. And didn't they say, he said that they changed the embassy where they were going to recognize that, was it Jerusalem was the capital instead of Tel Aviv? Is that what they were doing? I forget which one it was.
They're
I'm pretty
recognizing
sure
Jerusalem.
They're saying Jerusalem is the capital.
Right.
And that's just the reason why they're doing it is just to placate these evangelicals who want to believe that there's an end times. That's the only reason they're doing it. They're not doing it for any other reason. There's no political reason to do that other than piss people off and placate fucking evangelicals.
Yeah, but the scary thing is, if you get the wrong people in power, they can create this apocalypse.
I absolutely
Right?
no. No.
I know, that's what
and
scares
Bill
the
Maher,
shit out
I
of
think,
me.
said that in Religious. I think that's how he opens the movie. Is like, people have been saying, that the end times are coming and coming. We are the only. This is the time now where we can make that happen.
Yeah, I like these are people who, if they believe it hard enough and fucking jerk each other off in just the right way, they could. I could see them rationalizing their way into saying, like, this is what we have to do. Yeah. Right? We are called. I am a horseman. Whatever fucking nonsense language you want to spin around it, and then buzz home.
Yep. You can blow the whole thing up.
Blow the whole thing up.
Well, it's been a real pick me up. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Seth.
It just scares me.
Thanks for having me up.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Good night.
Let me refresh your whiskey. Hang on.
I would argue that anybody who argues for sodomy, ask them, is there any life in the rectum? Can two women produce life? And the answer, of course, will be no. Then the ultimate goal of life is life.
All right, this story is from LGBTQ Nation. Mike Pence gaslights gay people. I never supported conversion therapy, said Mike Pence.
Don't look under the blanket.
Said Mike Pence.
Don't look at my past record.
Why do they say this shit that's like, you can just
look it up. You can just look it up.
Find it.
Yeah.
And then you totally did say that.
But I mean, isn't the Trump presidency, Trump and Pence presidency, isn't that just like a series of more and more egregious gaslightings?
It is.
You know what I mean? Like, it really is. Like, he's the guy. Trump is the guy who'll be like, I never said it. And you're like, you literally just said it.
Yeah, Trump is like, you wonder if he's like hides Melania's car keys and is like, I don't know where your keys went. Then they reappear on the kitchen. Your keys were right here all along. Like, for real. Like, he's that guy.
That's
like,
why she can't leave. She's lost her keys. She's just wandering around.
She's going to buy a tile and just be like, I'm out of here.
Is she counting the seconds till that guy dies? Oh my God.
You guys see, this was months ago, and they were walking toward the Air Force One. I forgot what country or what. And he tried to grab her hand, and she's like, bam! She's just swatted away on international television.
At the inauguration, there's a great GIF, and I don't know if it's real or not. I haven't looked it up, but where you could see her face just has the most horrible look of disgust. And then he turns around and she smiles, and then he turns around and it's just this look of disgust appears on her face.
I have this like daydream that he's gonna have a cholesterol incident, and while he's like laying there, he'll be like having his last, and she'll just be like flipping through a magazine, like loudly rustling the pages so she
tapping her watch.
Right, so he can hear that she doesn't care as the last thing that enters his fucking mind.
You look at the relationship that they had, but you look at the relationship between Michelle and Barack, and you look at that relationship and you think, man, they really did love each other.
Yeah.
Like, you look at how much they wanted to be around each other. They have big smiles on their face. And then you look at this and you're just like, that's a transaction. that's a business transaction right there.
There's a new series that they just released on Netflix with Dave Letterman, who looks crazier every 5 minutes.
Super nuts. He looks like he just crawled out of the fucking woods.
But
really, wait, what?
But he has not lost his skills as an interviewer. And it's just like an hour of David Letterman with long Moses beard, but David Letterman sitting on stage with a live audience with Barack Obama. And they just shoot the shit. They just talk.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I think it may be closer to 2 hours. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't see it. I saw it the other night, but it was only one episode, so I didn't watch it.
It's on Netflix, and there's one episode, or there was when we watched last week.
They're doing one a month, I hear.
Is that it?
He's going to do one a month or release one a month. So I want to wait until like 6 or 7 of them are in there.
Barack Obama talking about his wife and his kids in a way that just draws you forward. And then it makes you ache for what we sacrificed him for.
right? Third term, right? Constitutional amendment, emergency session. Somebody call somebody. It is such
I need an adult. There has to be an adult somewhere.
It is such a study in contrasts, and it's definitely worth your time. It's on Netflix. It'll pop right up. I think it's probably on their new releases or something.
And I know I'm going to look wistfully at it because I'm a lefty, right? So of course I'm going to look wistfully at Barack Obama. But, you know, I just look back on the previous presidents, and I just don't think any of them were so just gross. You know, where it's just like, you're just like, you can't believe he said that, or you can't believe he did that. Or when you remember when he grabbed that guy by the shoulder and pulled him back just so he could walk in front of him?
And
or
then
the way
he shakes everyone's hand, like pulls him forward.
He's got that smug fucking shitty look on his face after he does it, like, look at me. And he's shaking his fucking head. And you just want to slap the fucking taste out of his mouth. Every moment that guy is in the limelight, I cannot stand him. And I just feel like, you know, even with Bush, and I hated Bush. I hated Bush.
He scared me.
And Bush was a scary president. Even with Bush, I never felt like, God, what a fucking unbelievable embarrassment. Now, I felt he was an embarrassment sometimes when he was like, you know, what was it, Ken? Is we going to get these children to read or something? Or what did he say? Like, he's like,
no one is asking the question, is our children learning? Or why isn't our children learning?
I forget what he said.
God.
But it was, you know, there's sometimes that he felt like a total embarrassment.
I mean, I had a calendar of Bush isms.
Yeah.
Of all of his little
gaffes,
folksy, down home sayings of, you know, when he misunderestimated something. And
you want a good one? Go to his
vomit
dad.
on the Japanese prime minister too.
Yeah,
and then he almost choked on a pretzel.
Yeah,
he was hilariously incompetent.
Go look up the YouTube montage of his dad's vice president, Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle had a series of gaffes, verbal gaffes.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Literally, I thought my brain cells are self-destructing just watching. But there are montages of all the shitty, crazy, bizarre, hysterically funny things that Quayle said during the vice presidency.
I got to look it up.
It's awesome.
I got to look it up.
Quayle, Dan Quayle. And they've done, and I think they've done this with all the contemporary presidents. But yeah, Bush Jr. and Quayle are my two favorites right now.
But I remember watching
Gary Busey. Yeah, do that with Gary Busey.
God, his whole life is a gaffe. But I remember watching the movie W. Did you see the movie W?
I didn't know.
And I remember walking out of that and I was like, oh my God, we are in so much trouble. I would have him back right now.
Yeah.
I would have him back right now. Because I think he was stupid. I think W was stupid. I do. I don't think he was a smart man. I think he was incompetent. He was in over his head. But he wasn't bad. Even though I disagreed with him on nearly every single topic that I think we could ever discuss, I don't think that he was like a fundamentally bad person.
Yeah.
His version of good and my version of good just differed. And that was a big problem for me.
Well, now you got Pence, though, in the second seat, and you think what happens if and when he becomes the next contender. He's so damn smooth. He's slick. He's well-spoken. He's polished. He looks the part. In many ways, he's even more terrifying.
Oh, look at what he did in Indiana. I mean, the stuff that he did with the he wound up closing down all the AIDS clinics down in the southern part of that state. Immediately, there was a huge spike in HIV because he closed down clinics where people could get clean needles.
Right.
And they just like a huge spike in HIV. He did, the money for gay conversion therapy, but also other, anti-gay stuff that he did. He's a real menace. He is run by his very strict religious ideals, and they're scary ideals. These aren't like happy, Jesus was a cool guy ideals. These are gay people will burn in hell forever. That's his ideals.
They're designed, honestly, the gay conversion thing is designed. I mean, the end result, no matter how you slice it, is to cause people to live with self-hatred, guilt, and shame for the rest of their life.
Yes.
I've been to the services where they trot the guy out and they say, and he tells his quote-unquote testimony, where he talks about how, I used to be perverse and have sexual deviancy in my life because Satan had got a hold of my heart and I was a homosexual. And then they took him in love.
Yeah.
and he went through this program, Bible study, and I don't know who all knows what happened behind closed doors. And he comes out and he gives his testimony. But you know in his heart, for the rest of his life, if he follows this path, he will be denying his true nature.
Absolutely.
And he'll be wrestling with guilt and shame. In many ways, they may have ruined his entire life.
Yeah, you know what
he would.
You know what they do? That's essentially just nailing him into a closet.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're building a closet around him and nailing him into it. It's disgusting.
You know, and it's not just sex, right? Like, think about how, like, I mean, when I think about like your relationship with your spouse is not mostly sexual. Your relationship with your spouse is sexual, but it's not all of it, right? And like these guys, they're going to have fucked up relationships because they're not going to have relationships that have a sexual bond that makes any sense at all, right? And so, like, they're just doomed to be lonely. Like fundamentally lonely, like they're romantically interested in the opposite sex. They're not just sexually interested in the same sex. They're romantically interested in the same sex, and they're going to live this life where they're not going to be able to direct that romantic and sexual energy at a person that makes sense for them to direct it at. And so they're doomed to not only just like a deeply unsatisfying sexual relationship, but just to be fucking lonely,
and then to hide. If they do, try to satisfy themselves, they're going to hide all of that and live in shame the whole time because somebody has told them to shame that part of themselves. So if they do at one point satisfy themselves sexually, either with another person or by themselves, they're going to be so ashamed of that moment that they're never going to be, they'll never be able to even enjoy it.
We talk about this quite a bit on the Thinking Atheist podcast when we get into relationships and how the church operates. Like if the church controls the bedroom, if they control your sexual identity, they got your life. They got your whole life, right? They tell you you're broken, you're born in sin, you're born to carnal desire. They tell you that you're broken and they sell you the cure.
Yep. Yeah.
And this is a business. It's the business model for winning souls and beyond. It's how the church operates, survives, and thrives from day to day, century to century. You're broken. We will fix you. Anything that operates outside of this model, that's broken. We'll fix you. You are diseased. Let us sell you the cure.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
All right, this is terrific. This is from Right Wing Watch. This is Alex Jones. God will destroy demon spawn CNN reporter Brian Stelter.
Now, you weren't going to be able to leave here today, Seth, without us playing a clip of Alex Jones because we love Alex Jones a lot on this show, and we play a lot of Alex Jones. This clip is especially crazy. So
wait. I'm sorry. It's crazy for Alex Jones?
I think it is crazy.
I think it is crazy for Alex Jones. Yeah. Most of the time, he's pretty crazy, but this is a lot of grunting.
Can I ask?
It's a lot more grunting than I'm used to anyway.
Can I ask real quick, Cecil, before we start this, do you have a favorite Alex Jones moment?
I do have a favorite Alex Jones moment. It's when there was a moment where he had a guy that had a lizard mask come out. and they were talking about how they were basically running the world, and I think they both had lizard masks on. They both had fake lizard masks on, and they were both talking about how great it was sort of satirically to run the world and what they had run and all the different things that they had control over.
And they did that whole
and at one point, one of them says, what does he say? How's your herpes or something? Yeah. What does he say to him? He says something like that. And I just couldn't. I was like, no, this is the best thing he's ever done. That's really good. What about you?
My favorite Alex Jones moment is a little simpler, but it's when he eats all those hot peppers. And then if you've not seen it, it's the best. He eats all these hot peppers like during a break.
During the break, he eats a bunch of hot peppers.
He's like, he's belching and he's like having like obvious distress.
Yeah, he's in distress. He's red. Sweating. He's as pink as I've ever seen him. And he's just into
the microphone. He's dying. He's dying inside. He's dying. But he's also Alex Jones. And she's like, I'm really mad about the thing that I'm
He keeps on trying to hold in the belch, but he can't do it. All right, so you were in radio. What do you do if you got a belch, right? Because this guy is on the TV. What do you do in radio when you have to belch?
Well, in FM broadcasting, we have what's called the cough button, which was our cheat. You got to sneeze or cough or whatever. You just hit the button and it mutes your mic while you cough.
I see. So you mute your mic. That's smart.
Yeah, but if you're on video, you're screwed.
Yeah,
you're pretty much
Howard Stern turned that on his head when he used to just belch right into the microphone back when he first started. He used to just turn and be like, just belch right into it. He was like, whatever.
Alex Jones is just follows the same model.
Alex Jones he's going to...
So great.
Even the other one that I like too is when he says it's not human intelligence. That's a really good one too. He kind of flips out and he screams that there's like an alien presence and it's not human intelligence.
I want the mind control technology.
Yeah, I want the life extension technology. This guy's the best.
What did Brian Stelter do? Stelter. What did he do to piss him off? Was it some article he wrote or was it something else?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
No, I have no idea. And that's the best part is like, I don't care at all. Like, I love his rage. His rage, he just walks around like with a rage gun and just points it at things. And it's
That's
just
a t-shirt. Let me write that down. I love his rage. Okay, got that.
All right, let's play this video. This is from Alex Jones' show, InfoWars.
Oh my gosh. Oh, hell on earth.
Is he coming?
I think so. Look at that face. He's giving it.
Did he just finish?
He wants to run your life. He wants to control every aspect of your life because he knows he is a cowardly degenerate.
That guy? That guy? Wait a minute.
That guy doesn't look like if I gave him my keys, he could park my car. I would be very afraid.
That guy's not running my life.
That's Stelter, right? Is he just getting a bunch of different like fucking
I don't know images?
I think he's got like a photo
least
montage.
Flattering images.
Yeah, exactly. He's finding the least flattering images.
Sack of anti-human trash.
I would be disappointed if he descended into ridiculous hyperbole, though. That would be unbecoming of a reporter.
I pledge before my heavenly Father.
Oh, here we go.
There it is.
That I will resist them every way I can. These people are the literal.
Spit it out, Porky Pig. What the fuck, man?
John Madden just right here.
Boom.
Demon spawn of the pit of hell. Look at him. And you know what? He is better than you if you keep letting him run your life. He runs your kids. He runs the schools. He runs the banks. This guy.
That guy?
Yeah, I thought it was George Soros.
Just that guy, though?
God, you'd be exhausted.
This spirit, this smiling, leering devil that thinks you can't see what he is. He is your enemy.
He's saying that. Enemy. What was with that? Like,
I think he's gonna start singing the Spear and Magic Helmet song here in a few minutes.
Period. All the narcissistic devil worshiping filth. I see you, enemy. I see you, enemy. 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 You are my enemy.
I don't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything. You just let him talk.
I love it.
You are my enemy. And I swear total resistance to you with everything I've got. Disingenuous, fake, false, broke back, twisted.
He's mad at a guy. It says Adult Swim behind him. And he's so mad at a guy. He's mad at a guy who's like smiling by like a cartoon thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's running my life.
A defiler, a betrayer, a backstabber, a devil. You will pay. Yeah, you think I don't see your face, scum? You don't think I don't see you, Stelter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Seth, you got a great voice. But this guy's got a really good voice. Listen to that again. Listen to that one more time.
Listen to the change.
I wish you could see, I mean, the facial thing, he's got his teeth grit and he's literally, it's the vowels and consonants are bleeding through the spaces between his teeth. It's awesome.
I got to play this part again, though, because this is almost like one of those in a world. Like, it's amazing.
You will pay. Yeah, you think I don't see your face, scum? You don't think I don't see you, Stelter?
You will pay part is so good. It is so good.
All right, you try it.
Me?
You will pay.
Seth?
You will pay.
You're more devilish. You got the devil going on over there.
I see you. You understand me? I know what you think of me and my family. I see you.
Is he growing? Is he growing?
He's growing.
What are we, Zool now?
He's going to go lay down in a refrigerator.
I'm just watching the color of his face just increasingly go crimson. Big vein popping out somewhere. Oh, my God.
I love this man
This
so much.
guy's amazing.
He would be the greatest dinner party guest ever.
God, I would never kick him out. He would live with me. I would just never live
like, yeah, you can
You
sleep.
can't.
That's
No,
it.
I will.
Yeah, I'll
you
get rid of a
control
kid.
me.
Yeah.
You could control me.
Right back. You understand that? You understand that, Stelter? Stelter.
He's just growling and snorting. He's like a Tasmanian
He
devil.
really is. It's threw him in front of a mic.
You will fall. You will not bring humanity down. God is going to destroy you.
Playing him at the wrong speed.
They really
right?
are.
They are.
God, isn't that deep? My God.
Get him off the screen.
Bouncing again.
God, they're so evil. Just please, God, free us from them.
All right. So now I don't know how much Alex Jones
Guy
you've
should have
seen.
rolled in a drama
I don't know
club.
how much Alex Jones you've seen. But you just saw one clip. Just the one now. Just one now. And maybe you've seen others in the past. Is he faking? Is he putting us on?
Absolutely.
Yeah? You think he's making a big joke of everything?
It's like he was part of that lawsuit, was it last year? And I think his lawyer had, one of the defenses his lawyer had put forward, at least to the press, was calling Alex Jones and his shtick performance art.
Yeah.
And I thought, right there, there's the smoking gun. I mean, do I think he knows there's a sucker born in every minute? Yeah. Do I see religious conservatives who either don't know about this stuff and they post a little bit of the more benign stuff?
Sure.
It's like when people post David Wolf memes, right? David Wolf is the guy who says that gravity gravity's toxic and chocolate was brought here on the cosmic wind and is part of the energy of the sun. The guy's just lost his mind.
This guy sounds amazing.
Yeah, David
mental
Wolf.
note, more David Wolf.
David Wolf, WOLFE. And what happened was, I think that David Wolf's a charlatan as well. He's one of those guys who sells just crazy batshit ideas, and then he sells this blender for like $150 on his website, right? But he catches people by doing these happy clappy, like, I'd like to buy the world a Coke, let's all love each other, let's all be better people memes. And then once he sinks those little memes into you, when he gets you to subscribe, then he goes into more of the deeper whoa. And I see Alex Jones posted in evangelical circles this way. They find something that sort of plays into the Fox News conservatism angle.
Sure, yeah.
And either they ignore or just don't care about all the other insanity. There is a great YouTube video that shows, and I wish I could remember who compiled it, a list of Alex Jones' predictions over the past, I think, 10 years. The things he said, this will happen, right? This will happen. You mark my words. And they went back and they actually did some fact checking, and they went to the times and the dates and the predictions that he made. And they're like, nope, this didn't happen. And so you've got the predictions, prediction, no. And I think the video goes on 5 to 10 minutes. And so just Google or YouTube Alex Jones prediction fail or something. It pops right up. It's beautiful. But no, I think he's a performer. I think he's filling his pockets. I think he knows there's a sucker born every minute. And I think he knows that it's this, people gravitate to these charismatic, strong, bizarre, bad people. It hurts the heart to see it happen. But, people trust in it. There are some people who see that and go, well, Alex Jones isn't afraid to say it like it is.
It's what tipped me off to the fact that he was not real. Besides all the ridiculousness, because the ridiculousness itself, you can't believe that you believe that stuff. But then there was a moment where Chobani had sent him a message that was like a cease and desist, because he had said, like, I guess, like, they, I forget what he said. He said some horrible shit about their company. Yeah. Something about, it might have been about immigrant workers or something. I forget what he said. And they sent him a cease and desist, and he had to go back and eat shit. And he's on his television show and basically like, I did not mean what I said, and this and this and this and this. And he's keep going.
He totally walked it back.
And he's like, and he basically, I mean, he didn't even read a statement from his lawyers as much as he just basically walked everything he said back and then sort of, couched it in some very legal language. And I was like, oh yeah, if you're really crazy, you don't give a fuck. You're just like, you know what? I'll just sue me.
I'm going to go to my grave telling the truth.
Just fucking sue me. But
I will resist with everything I have unless I'm threatened with a lawsuit. Unless I'm threatened
with if you bring me a lawsuit, I will not resist at all.
Roll over.
I will contact my lawyers and write a very nice statement. And that's what he did. And the same thing happened with the Pizzagate thing when he was all up on. I mean, one of the major reasons why Pizzagate even happened
was Alex Jones.
Yeah. And he spread that word about it over and over and over again. And that guy walks into fucking Comet Pizza with a fucking semi-automatic weapon.
Yeah.
And immediately Alex Jones scrubs all instances of it from his
off
website.
His website.
It's all gone.
Oh, he wiped it all clean.
And then he comes back with, I never really said anything. We were just following other people's reports. We weren't leading the story on that at all. Yeah. And so it's all the cover your ass moments, because if you really believe this shit, you would go down swinging. But I don't think he really believes this shit. I think he just wants to make,
now, how do you get there? How do you get to that point in your life? I mean, do you think anyone this stupid deserves to be taken advantage of?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's more insidious than that. I think it's like you start off and it's like, well, people really like it when I do that, like
crazy thing.
Big angry thing, and I got angry about this one thing, and I'm going to get angry. Now I got to find things to be rage filled about. I got to get my hate on. What sells is this anger. And so then you start going down. I think it's a series of little tiny snowballs that just, escalate and escalate. He's got to know it's all just, but he's probably justifying it all with like, there's slivers of truth within it, that kind of nonsense. Or
people will ask us why we cover it, right? Because I know Tom and I don't think
why
it's real.
Give him the lie today? Why help him be more famous?
Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing, too, is if they say, well, if it's fake, what do you care? Well, the people who watch it don't think it is. I think there's a lot of people who watch it that don't think it is.
Clearly, that guy picked up a semi-automatic weapon and went into a pizza place because he thought this was real.
And this guy, nothing we do is going to amplify his voice. He's way, way, way more popular than we are. Like, he has a million plus people that follow him on YouTube plus. He's a very, very popular guy. So nothing we do is going to boost his signal.
He's spoken with the current president.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple times.
That alone is terrifying.
Right. Yeah. But it is one of those moments where you got to wonder, you think, here's a guy who, probably is pretty intelligent if he can come up with this stuff and keep that facade up for so long. He's almost like an Andy Kaufman. You know what I mean? Like, he's almost one of these guys that is so entrenched in his own character that it's hard for him to even come out of it at this point. He's a really, really entertaining person and destructive, terrifying person too. All right, so Seth, what's going on with the thinking atheist these days? What's going on there?
Well, I mean, people still listen for some strange reason. Yeah.
People still thinking?
Look, people, it's like, you guys know what it's like when you do something like this, where there are thousands of people who rely on you to produce content, and it's a zero-sum game. As soon as you put something out, you're back to zero. You're ready for the next show, the next speech, the next whatever. And so, you do this week after week, and you wonder if, at some point, is everyone going to come to their senses and realize that I'm not that good? I'm
kind of relying on people not coming to their senses. Don't come to your damn senses, people.
I mean, this speaks to the fear, I think, of a lot of people who do what we do. Yeah. Like, will there come a point when I'm irrelevant, or I've said everything there is to say, or blah blah blah? Or you struggle, I think, a little bit with creative burnout when you're doing this stuff all the time. And so, I mean, I go through that ebb and flow, but it's still something that, despite the challenges, I tremendously love. I mean, it's weird. Like, I try to tell my religious parents, who they can't reconcile happiness outside of God, but I tell them, I've never been happier than I am right now. I've never been more comfortable in my own skin than I am right now, doing what I do for the Thinking Atheist and beyond, meeting the people I meet and whatnot. And they look at me and go, no, you're not. No, I'm really happy.
They deny the subjective experience of your own life. No, it's not. That's not how you feel.
I'm really happy. I love. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're
really?
Not. But the truth is that it's a tremendous privilege to be able to have these conversations. It's weird. I get a chance to bump elbows with people I never thought I'd meet. I had John Delancey from Q from Star Trek, and he was in Breaking Bad. Just an amazingly talented actor and voice actor. Had him on the show. Had to meet him. Had the opportunity to talk to Penn Jillette. And of course, I'm trying not to fanboy the whole time. Like, Penn Jillette, oh my God. And what's weird is I saw Penn and Teller at the Rio back when I was still coming out of the faith. I was still a God believer. And I was in the audience going, oh, poor Penn. He's just an atheist. He doesn't know the love of Jesus. So then I get to interview him on the other side of that deal, right? Where I'm like, dude, I was in the audience at the Rio. And we sort of had that moment. And probably as much or more importantly, I get a chance to hear from people who, they're taking the journey every day and they're just trying to figure it out. And they got people telling them they're crazy or they're going through a crisis or they lost their mind or they don't have the right to live their own lives. And they take comfort in the work that happens and the videos and whatnot. And so I'll keep kicking. I'll keep doing it as long as people continue to benefit from it. And I've been fortunate to be at a point, thanks to the generosity of my listeners and sponsors, to be able to do it full time. So, that was scary. But I started full time in the summer of 2015, and I'm still alive.
Still doing it. Still doing it.
So yeah, I'll do a few speaking dates this year. The American Atheist National Convention's coming up. I'll be there. It's going to be in Oklahoma City, which is beautiful. Bring it to the Bible Belt. Bring it to Oklahoma. We need the American Atheist Convention in Oklahoma, please.
And when is that again?
It's always on Easter, isn't it?
It's and the religious are going to have a field day with it, but it's April Fool's Day. The weekend of April Fools.
Is that when Easter is this year? Because they normally have it on Easter,
I think
right?
They usually finish it up on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, because they normally go out and do stuff. We talked to David Silverman once, and he was like, "Yeah, you guys should come down." And we said, "When is it?" It's Easter weekend. Yeah. And it's kind of hilarious.
It's pretty funny,
that they're like, "Well, it's not our holiday. What do we care?"
Right.
I always thought Easter was a weird holiday anyway, to be perfectly honest. Even when I was religious, I was like, why do we just eat a ham? I don't get it. What is going on? We're celebrating the death of the thing. I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
So let's talk for a second. Let's talk about your Twitch channel.
Oh,
okay. This is exciting. So I had for a while wanted to start my own Twitch channel. I never got around to doing it. I would never have enough time to do it anyway. So I there's a lot of envy that goes into what you're doing. You're an entertaining guy by yourself all the time. Your show is mostly yourself. You'll do interviews, but your show is you. And you're an entertaining guy. So when you're on Twitch, you're entertaining as well as playing video games. Are you enjoying Twitch?
Well, it sort of started as a fluke. I mean, it's really more of a distraction. My wife calls it bubblegum for the brain. We all need something to distract ourselves, that's kind of mindless and fun. And I'm not a great gamer. Look, I'm a product of the Atari 2600. We had one button on the joystick.
And we liked it.
We liked it.
Right?
Right? We had Tank. We had the horrible E.T. video game, Atari 26, that killed Atari, that caused them to go bankrupt. Yeah. We had that game. But I've always kind of enjoyed it. And so I just played occasionally just for fun. And I had my stepson over and we were playing this game, Alien Isolation. And I posted a clip of me playing the game. I'm in the little postage stamp of the video. And of course, I just get my ass kicked. And people are like, hey, this is fun. And so they said, you should start a Twitch channel. What the hell's Twitch? I had no idea. Wait, people watch other people play video games en masse? I mean, people enjoy this. And so I thought, what the hell? So I put together just a basic channel and I just started a few weeks ago and, people show up. I think I've got 600-700 people that showed up for the last one. And I'm just going through I'm playing Layers of Fear, which I like a good ghost story and sort of a haunted house.
Sure.
Motif.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
People are, they're telling me, hey, go through this, open this door, do this, do that.
Are they waiting for you to get jump scared in that?
They are, and I'm going to try to do a better job of interacting. I'm still learning it. It's like learning a new language, right? It's a whole new thing. I feel like I'm going to be 50 in April, and I'm like, am I too old to be on Twitch? Like, is this just for young, agile gamers? Am I trotting into territory in which I don't belong?
Spraying a thumb. You're like, oh, fuck!
You think that it's all about the games, but on Twitch, it's not about the games. It's about the personality behind the games. It is. It absolutely is. There's a guy who plays a game that I play, Guild Wars. I play a game called Guild Wars 2, and I watch his Twitch stream because he's fucking entertaining. He's an entertaining guy. He's a funny, entertaining guy. He interacts with his chat very often, and he'll make jokes, and he'll kid around, and he'll play the game, and he's an entertaining dude. And I think that a lot of people think, oh, you just got to be, because I also watch a guy who plays the same game, and he's one of the best in the world because they do world championships of this game. He's one of the best in the world. So he's a very different type of person to watch. You watch him, not for what he has to say, but for what he can do.
Yeah.
But there's other people that you watch just for what they have to say and how they have to interact and how much fun they're having.
My inner monologue does become an outer monologue.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll walk in and before you know it, I'm like, this is reminiscent of the, the basement in Evil Dead. Did you see Evil Dead when they did this? And so I'm just sort of rattling off.
Sure.
And some people enjoy that. It's weird. It's like sort of a companion to their day. They just do it. So I'll keep it up. And if people enjoy.
How often are you doing it?
Oh, I think I'm just doing a couple. Right now it's about bandwidth. It's so hard to get the podcast produced and the videos produced. And, I'm getting the tour schedule finalized for the year and doing all these other things. But I really am, my wife's always like, you're out of balance. Not that she's into equilibrium of the universe, but she knows I'm a workaholic. So she's like, you need to make time for fun stuff, dumb stuff, family stuff, other stuff. Yeah. Because I'm the guy when I'm laying in bed, I'm like, tomorrow I got to do this and I need to write that. And I've got this idea for a book and I need to do this. Someone to be a great, hey, by the way, I'm going to Chicago. It's going to be a great deal with this guy. And I just sit there, my mind's just twirling, all the time. And she's like, off, shut it off. And so I'm using it as kind of a way just to, it's bubble gum for the brain.
Yeah, yeah. And you're doing videos too as well. So you're doing videos and the podcast and Twitch. When do you have time to breathe?
Well, one beauty of being self-employed is that I can take, I can do 3 hours and then go down and, have a bite and take care of the dogs and whatnot. And I can find time. It's weird. There's not a, you're at work time and you're off time. It's just kind of an always time. I'm working on a book idea right now. I'm working with a researcher to get some stuff. Don't want to give details yet, but it's probably going to be a year-long endeavor for release maybe next year. I'm working on, and this is another distraction, but we do an October broadcast every year on ghost stories.
I love that broadcast. Yeah. That's fun.
So you guys are familiar with it.
Absolutely,
It's great. Well, I love a good ghost story, and so 7 years ago, we started to do this thing where I'd lower the lights virtually, and we'd have the music and the emotive stuff, and then we'd tell ghost stories on the radio, just like old-time radio, right? Back before TV was here. And a few, 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to get really clever and write my own ghost story for the end. Well, that's nice. That's great. So now every year I'm like, oh, shit. I got to come up with something. And every year it gets more elaborate, and I'm like, oh. So I've decided, well, if I'm going to go to all of this trouble.
May as well kill a man.
Yeah.
And then... Right, because that's how you get ghosts.
Absolutely.
Turn both cheeks. Don't kill him. Turn both cheeks. I've decided I'm going to take a lot of some of the best work of what I've already written and some fresh new material, and I'm actually going to release to Audible, hopefully by this September, a Ghost Stories audiobook.
Oh, wow. How great is that?
So instead of just my autobiography and Sacred Cows, which talks about religion, this is a total distraction. And my hope is that it'll be appealing to a market that's well outside of atheist circles and maybe bring in some people to the conversations that we're having about myths and superstitions, because they're like, I hear it all the time. Well, if you're an atheist, why would you ever be scared by ghosts? And I'm like, if you don't believe in Lord Voldemort, why would you go to a Harry Potter film or read the book?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. We can operate in the realm of imagination and fantasy. We are human beings, and it's a great distraction. So that's my big project now, is getting Ghost Stories, the audiobook, ready for a release in September of this year. So.
You got any other big guests coming up on your show? Anything coming up?
I have, I got an interesting one that's coming up that I'm waiting to take. I'm probably going to take a lot of heat for this one. Dr. Hector Garcia is a clinical psychologist in Texas, and he's written a book called called Alpha God, and he's coming up in February. And essentially, the way people are going to read it is the reason we have the patriarchal gods of old and now is because it's man's fault, because it's guys. And we get into these patriarchal societies that help to construct the deities and why they look like men and the aggressiveness and the violence, and it's the men who start wars and whatnot. And of course, I'm trying to automatically get in front of those who are going to say this is a man-hating show, because it really isn't. But it's an interesting angle from the perspective of a mental health professional who has studied the creation of these religions. I have that. I've got Dr. Abby Hafer. She's going to talk about the not-so-intelligent designer. Whenever you speak to a religious person and they're like, look all around you. Look at the trees. Look at the animals. They're so obviously perfectly designed. And, of course, we're looking at the giraffe going, what the hell are you talking about? Right? Well, she's written a whole book that gives you one after the other example of just crap design. It's evolution explains it perfectly. Design does not. And it takes Yahweh and other gods to task for what their design might be. So I've got that one coming up. We're doing, we're just doing a lot of that kind of stuff. So, it's a different topic, a different theme every week. And then sometimes we'll just totally hit the brakes and talk about something that has nothing to do with anything serious, and we'll just talk about fun stuff. We did a show, I think was it last year or the year before, called The Weirdest Websites in the World. And we just, the whole broadcast of people going, oh my God, have you seen this online? And then we pull up at the website on the browser and go, holy shit. And I describe it, and all of our listeners go there. And, it's just a fun distraction.
Yeah.
And most
those websites just getting like a bump in traffic. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they were like, what's happening? And then they trace it to me, and then they really wonder. But mostly it's just about getting together. It's about community and being together and be reminded that, you're not alone and it's okay. And the tide for reason is slowly rising here in the United States. We're seeing the seculars, the non-religious, they're seeing those numbers, especially, and the younger people go up. And, and we're alive in kind of a sea change here in the country. I'm not seeing it reflected politically, but I am seeing it reflected generationally, and I think that will pay dividends in the next decade.
Yeah, they say the nuns, N-O-N-E-S, are the largest growing group of people. That's the non-religious. The people who don't have any religion is the largest growing.
They don't need it. I mean, they're not necessarily atheists, but they're like, I'd rather spend my Sunday with people I care about than go sit in church.
Yeah.
And I've got, I'm gay, or I've got a gay sibling or friend, and I'm not going to judge them. I just want them to be happy. Good for them.
Yeah.
We see that rampant in millennials and Generation Z, and I think it's amazing, and it drives their parents and grandparents batshit crazy. Right? It drives them crazy.
But don't you care who's sucking whose dick? No, Grandma. Go back to sucking Grandpa's dick.
Here's your $5 you sent me last year at Christmas.
Well, I want to congratulate you guys. 400 is a major milestone. 400 is that's a lot of content that you guys have given so much of yourselves for. And I don't think people really realize what goes into putting together a broadcast.
I know I don't.
Many people think, they just show up and flap their gums. And the truth is there's just a lot of gears to the machine, a lot of commitment, time away from loved ones, spouses and kids, and the things the responsibilities of everyday life. The fact that you guys are at 400 is massive. I mean, it's major. And so congrats to you, props to you for sticking it out this long, for maintaining the quality you have, for having the audience size you do, and for allowing me to play along here for the 400th. I think that's amazing.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for helping us celebrate. It was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun to have you in studio, and we hope to have you again one time for sure.
It will be my honor.
I was glad we could buy you some real pizza. I don't know what they have in Oklahoma, but
I'm going to sound like Alex Jones at about 3 a.m.
Thanks for joining us, Seth.
My pleasure.
Hey, Seth, if people are going to find you on the internet, where would they look?
Just go to thethinkingatheist.com. Remember, I am not the thinking atheist. I always make this caveat. The thinking atheist is an idea. For those of us who came from a faith culture, we reject faith as a way of learning how the world works. We want to embrace reason and the evidence. So we should all hopefully be thinking. Thethinkingatheist.com.
So we want to thank, this is our 400, technically 401 episode. We want to thank our patrons for sticking with us.
Is it the 401th?
401th.
401.
We got so many great emails this week and the past couple weeks that were saying that people were saying that they had seen us or had heard of us episode 7 or episode 12 or, even episode 100, which is a very long time
300
ago.
episodes ago by my math.
Time ago.
Yeah.
So thanks for sticking with us for so long. Thanks for hanging out with us every week.
Oh,
and, we love that everybody enjoys it, and we get a lot of great email about it. So thanks so much for listening. We are going to go through a ton of patrons because we haven't had a chance to do this in a while. So thank you, new patrons, Vicky, Kernan, Javier, Missionary Position Podcast, Linda, Rachel, Andrew's second favorite Jew, Shirley, Alan, James, Casey, Rufflebutt Sarah, Dumb All Over, Stephanie, Kanya, Chris. Okay, what? Skip-a-drongs, Kif-to-Floriding ring.
Sure.
Brent, Leslie, Shave Me, Jeebus. Brian, the wrong crowd, John, the dude live, Dave, Deanna, and Dean. Thanks so much for your generous donations to Glory Hole Studios. You're the ones who make this possible. Thank you so much. Tom, any thoughts, reflections on 400 episodes?
I wanted to ask you a couple of episode 400 questions.
Oh, okay, sure.
What is the best meal you had in studio?
Best meal
you've had in studio.
We were at the old studio.
Mm-hmm.
This was over at the Music Garage, and it was the first time we ordered La Pierre Gourmet or whatever.
I was gonna say those guys. I miss those guys.
They make it's like a Thanksgiving dinner. It was good.
They make a lobster roll.
Yeah.
It's a mind-blowingly good lobster roll.
I had their chicken and stuffing, and I thought it was amazing. It was tender and delicious.
Rock solid.
I think it's a hotel or something.
I don't know
really
if it's a hotel, I want to live there.
Second best meal was Pequod's Pizza in here first night we recorded.
Yeah.
Pequod's Pizza. We had a sausage pepperoni.
Yeah.
We posted it to Facebook, and a bunch of people who only like floppy pizza were very upset.
Who cares?
But
they don't count as people.
It was amazing.
Every time we order,
genuinely
it's
amazing. So that's probably my second favorite.
Worst meal.
Worst meal we had here was Roots Pizza.
Yes!
Roots Pizza was delivered here, and it was it's Minnesota or something. Quad Cities style pizza. So they took this shitty shitty sausage, and they crumpled it up, and it's all greasy and gross. And it's like, so there's not like you don't bite into sausage. It's just like so much of like a sausage essence to the pizza, which is really unpleasant. And then they cut it in weird strips, and it was cold. So it was like, imagine eating a mozzarella lasso. That's what it was like. It was disgusting.
I think you're forgetting about that place where we ordered chicken. I got catfish. Do you remember? We
threw it out. I threw it out. I just threw it out.
And it was,
I ordered chicken, and
it tasted like the catfish tasted like dirt.
Yeah.
Wrapped in more dirt, a different color of dirt. It was like it was catfish improperly prepared, and then it was
I remember
in
that.
the cornmeal.
Oh, in the cornmeal, and it tasted like dirt. It did taste like dirt.
Actual dirt.
It tasted like you were eating like a handful of sod.
It was so bad.
Awful. And then I tasted my chicken, and it was so dry. I took a bite of it, and I was like, I can't eat it. And I'm starting to chew, and I'm like, it tasted like eating chicken chalk. And I was like, I'm out. And the other place that we ate that was really, really bad, I had to go home, run home real quick. They delivered it while I was gone, and I came back, and it was a barbecue place, and it was super dry and gross.
I do remember that.
Threw that away too. So there's been a couple places that I think are even worse than Roots, because I did eat the crust of the Roots pizza.
Yeah. You know, another wonderful meal we've had here, RPM Italian.
Oh, RPM Italian is outstanding.
Our RPM Italian.
Outstanding.
Delightful.
What's great is it's a high-end restaurant here in Chicago.
It's hard to get into.
That's hard to get into, but they deliver.
Yeah.
So we get there once in a while. And I'll get the chicken parm, and it's perfect. So.
I get the squid ink pasta.
Yeah, squid ink
Holy
pasta.
shit.
Yeah. Calamari.
Holy shit. So 400 episodes, man. What's something that this show has done for you that you never suspected we would do?
I got a chance to talk to Dan Savage. And I've always wanted to talk to him. I listened to his show, and I've heard him years ago on This American Life, and I always wanted to just have a conversation with him, and I got a chance to do that through this show, and I thought that was outstanding. We've
been able, with the aid of our audience, we've been able to donate more money.
Yeah.
Because of this show.
Yeah.
personally from money we've earned and then also money we've raised through the show than I could have ever been able to donate myself.
For sure. Yeah.
Using my own private means.
Yeah.
I thought about that the other day. I was thinking about episode 400. I was trying to think like how much over the course of those 400 episodes, how much good do you think that's done?
Yeah.
You know, like we joke about like, oh, it's just a dick joke show, but like it's tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
That's been raised and donated to Doctors Without Borders. Think of all the charities we worked with over the course of those 400 episodes. It's like we've accidentally done some good.
Foundation Beyond Belief. We did
Modest Needs. We did
Doctors Without Borders twice. ACLU last year.
Right.
This year we donated to It Gets Better. There's probably going to be a Vulgarity for Charity up our sleeves pretty soon, and you know I'm sure we'll fork out for that as well. We donated a lot throughout the years. This last year, we donated directly to Modest Needs during the Smalley podcastathon. Plus, the previous year we had raised with the Scathing guys $25,000 for them.
Yeah, it's just that's something I could never have done with my private means.
Yeah,
you know, I just would never have been able to do it.
Yeah,
I thought about that the other day, and that's something that I'm just like I'm inordinately proud to have been a part of.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? That's a really cool.
Yeah.
That's almost as cool as some of the food we've eaten in this studio. 400 episodes,
400
man.
episodes, yeah.
This is like this show is one of the I'll say this too, and then like this show is like one of the very few hobbies I've ever had that has sustained.
Right. For a long time. Yeah.
This long.
Me too. I mean, it's been a long ride. We've been doing it. We did it with Everyone's a Critic beforehand. And then we've been doing it with this show for, at this point, 6 years. So yeah,
that's crazy.
It's been a long time. And it's one of those shows. It's one of the things that, you know, I look forward to every week. I look forward to the record. I look forward to the final product because it's always fun to do. So
that's crazy to do something for this long, this many episodes, and still enjoy it.
And still like it.
Still enjoy it.
Still like to do it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sticking with us for 400 episodes, or even if this is your first one, thanks for sticking with us for one. So we're happy that you listen. We got a bunch of email we want to get through. We got a message from Grant, and I had mentioned, I had made a quick joke about the Pineapple Pen song. And if you just do a Google search, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just a weird guy who's just saying pen, pineapple, and apple in a different way. And it's goofy and whatever. But anyway, I made a joke about Pineapple Pen and then also Pence. And so he made a Pineapple Pence.
It looks great. It looks like
great. He looks like an evil supervillain, like a pineapple flavored.
What's the Pinhead guy? What is that guy?
He's from Hellraiser.
Yeah, well, they have a name for those. The Cenobites?
Maybe. Yeah.
He looks like one of those guys to me.
I guess he kind of does. Yeah, he's kind of got a little, you know, because it's a pattern on his face that looks like, so it looks a hexagon.
He's got that like grid thing going on. He looks all
spiky. So check it out. It's going to be on this week's show notes 401.
I think it's appropriate because I think voting in Trump was opening Pandora's box. So it makes sense. I'm just saying
there's got to be some great quotes that you could take from Hellraiser and put it and make it sound like Trump would say it. Because it's got to be some great quotes like "You will not escape us" or something like that. You know, like there's got to be something great in there from. I've seen the movie once, but I don't remember what they say. So.
I'm just saying. I think a box that shoots out fish hooks. Is more pleasant than our current administration.
I'd rather put it by my nuts. All right, so we got a message. This is a while ago. This is from Miliardo, and Miliardo says, Tom, why don't you just read his email? Now, this is referring to an episode we did where Alex Jones is just freaking out at one point. He says, and the potbelly PBPs are doing stuff, and we could not figure out
what he's talking
Heads
about.
or tails what potbelly PBPs are. Tom, read this email.
He says, I've officially started walking around the office, putting this into common conversation, hoping somebody will clarify. Examples. I fixed the printer. Boom! Who gets the potbelly PBP? This guy. Guy walks in, pissed off, to the side. Jeez, who took that guy's potbelly PBP? Am I right? This is my favorite part. So far, not only has nobody clarified, nobody has questioned it. You know, as if I'm making sense.
I don't even care if that's true.
Here's the thing. I think it's true because I had a job. I remember once I had a job and near the and I hated the job. It was a shitty job, and it made me mad. And so I would do little shitty stuff like this all the time just to relieve my frustration. One of the things I would always do is people would call and they'd want to know where we were in a mall. I was working at a high-end like audio store. And they would want to know where we were.
I know where you were working.
And high-ish end. And so, I mean, they thought they were high-end. Anyway.
It was terrible equipment.
We were, it was awful. We were near a gazebo, right? And so that was a landmark.
Oh, I remember
and
this.
People would call.
I remember
and
this.
Every time I'd be like, yeah, it was a store right across from the gazebo.
Gazebo. We're by the gazebo.
Nobody ever said, do you mean gazebo?
No, they just like.
I'd be like, and I would purposely say it 2 or 3 times. I'd be like, we're like right across from the gazebo. So if you find the gazebo, we're going to be across from the, and I would do it like.
It's like mispronouncing grotesque, like a grotesque. It's grostic. Oh, that's so
Nobody
funny. That's
like
so
you could
funny.
do that. I also like I used to passive aggressively, like there was this woman that was super superficial and very vain, and like her hair was like a big deal for her. And every time she would come into my office, I would do this thing where I would look at her eyes and I would quick flick my eyes up to the top of her head. And I did
That's
this.
so mean.
I did this
That's
because
so mean.
I did this because I had a mirror in my office, and I would tell, I'd be like, and her name was Lisa. My assistant Johnny would be like, I'm gonna make Lisa look in the mirror. I will
You're
make Lisa.
so mean.
And she would come in and she'd talk to me, and I'd flick my eyes, and she'd turn around and check herself in the mirror. She did it every single time. Every single time. It was the best.
You're
it was
such
the
a
best.
dick. You're such a dick.
I don't like people, and I want to hurt them.
You should have said to her, so, is that a potbelly PvP on your head? Or you just happen to see me? We got a message from Wolfwing, and Wolfwing says that he was reminded of a joke. The internet is where men are men, women are really men, and 8-year-old girls are FBI agents. That's a great one. We got a message from Lee, and Lee says, we misgendered the Peachy King. We had said maybe she transitioned and now she's the Peachy King. And Lee thinks that we misgendered Peachy King. Lee, you do not know what the Peachy King's made up pronouns are. So you don't get to tell me that I misgendered the Peachy King. I get to decide what the Peachy King's pronouns are, and they are she and he. So thank you very much. So we got a message from Matt, and Matt says, I love how he's talking about the guy who was saying that it was before Seth was on, and there was a person who was talking about how great if you love Israel and you're nice to Israel, everybody else prospers. And he said, I heard this half an hour after hearing the U.S. just had the biggest single one-day stock crash in history. Fair enough. Yeah, no, that's fine.
That happened.
Yeah, it was bookended by 2 mass shootings. So, yeah.
We only care about neither of them. Yeah. We're waiting for the next one. We already don't care about the last whatever. There might be one right now we don't care about. Who knows?
Got a message from Aiden, and Aiden sent in a Facebook video of a helper horse, and we're going to post it on this week's show notes because it's amazing. We also got a message from Kernan.
I love
and
this.
Kernan found a Fox News lower third, which is almost certainly not edited by Kernan at all, of Dr. Alveda, quote, Peachy King. So we will post it on this week's show notes. Oh, we got a message from Gavin, and Gavin had said that in Australia a couple years ago, the prime minister had said something like shit happens when a soldier died. And then he gets confronted about it, and it's Tony Abbott. And the video is priceless on this. I just do a search. We didn't get a video, so we have to search for it. But it's Tony Abbott, shit happens. There's a guy who confronts him, and Tony Abbott just stands there, and I think he blows a circle. He doesn't say anything, and he just kind of shakes.
He has a straight-up petite mal seizure. It's the only explanation. It's
crazy.
It's the only explanation.
Oh, it's nuts. It was a really funny video. Thanks for sending it in, Gavin. Got a message from Brian, and Brian sent in an image of Cognitive Dissonance, the beer.
I can't wait to try.
We're going to try it. Tom's going to find it, and we're going to try it. We'll let you know how it is, but thanks for sending it. You can find an image of it on this week's show notes. This is a great message we got from Dan. Dan said, congratulations on 400. He said that he looks at Trump the same way people look at a domestic abuse. If you aren't turned off by the first punch, then all subsequent punches seem about the same in comparison. He said, if you weren't completely turned off by the Mexicans are rapists, maybe some are good people, then anything that comes after is mild in comparison or slightly worse. Grab him by the pussy was a big one. That shocked many people, but ultimately did nothing. And I think it's so true. So yeah, and it's funny too, because he says, otherwise you have to beat him with policy because outrage has left the station. And there's nothing you can say about him now that can make you more outraged about what he
People
is.
aren't even outraged.
They don't even care.
At this point, they've come to expect a certain level of awfulness.
We got 2 Valentine's Day poems.
I thought these were
that
beautiful.
are also headlines. They are hilarious. We're going to post it on this week's show notes. Thanks, Chris, for sending them in. They are really, really funny.
Yeah, they are.
We got a long email from Trish telling us about her experience with getting Peter Popoff water and how they just kept sending stuff in the mail over and over. They would started asking for more and more money, and then they eventually started just sending it all the time. She would stop sending it, and they would just keep sending it over and over. They had to resort to saying, we don't believe in your God. We are atheists. Stop sending. Yeah. So I guess Peter Popoff, like Seth had mentioned, is just
breaking it in,
and he just throws out as much crappy, fucking sortable garbage junk mail that he possibly can.
I love this. This is great. This is from Brad. Brad sent this is from the talking point about Trump. And it was not real, like putting little pizzas as toppings for his pizza. And so he made a pizza and he put pizza bagels on it. I want to eat this pizza.
That's so funny. It's hilarious. We're going to put a photo on this week's show. It's
funny.
Brad, hilarious.
God.
My favorite part of that article, though, is this when he's in a sing-songy voice and he's singing about it. Like that to me, it just makes that article so good.
So funny.
It's so good.
Little pizzas. So fucking funny.
So this week's mass shooting happened in where did it happen? I don't even in Florida. Was it Florida? Yeah.
I don't know which. It doesn't. You know what? The reason I don't know is it depends on what day the show releases.
Yeah, because there could be another one. We're talking about the one that happened. That everybody's still talking about
on Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day. So
this show will release. That was on Wednesday. The show will release Monday. There might be another mass shooting between now and then.
But the one we're talking about is the one from last week. So don't get confused. We know that it's easy to get confused about these things.
Try to remember to care for 7 days about each one.
Yeah,
minimum.
See what happens. Like your marriage, like your marriage. But
yeah, we can give it a try.
But what we want to do is we want to share. Carlos sent in a message and he said, "Hey, there's a GoFundMe for the victims of this. We're going to put it on this week's show notes. I don't know if they're going to reach their goal. They already have like $500,000, but there's a lot of victims. Yeah, so if you have some money in your pocket, some change jingling around, you want to donate to it, you can check this week's show notes for it. Don't worry. Next week, we'll have another mass shooting GoFundMe. So if you miss this one, guys,
you should probably just include this in your monthly budget.
If you miss this one, you'll be able to donate to another mass shooting almost certainly very soon. So don't worry. You're not going to miss out. And if you miss the news on this one again, don't worry about that either, because they're not going to stop talking about it until the next one.
Just take all the money that you were going to spend on sensible gun control laws.
Yeah.
And you can use that.
You can just
instead,
use that. Yeah.
Because you don't need that.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank Seth Andrews for joining us. Seth was a great guest. He's a lot of fun to talk to. Really nice guy. Just a guy that when we got a chance to meet him in person, he's just a wonderful guy, giving with his time, willing to come in here and be on, listen to us for 3 hours worth of time. And then we had a great night. We wound up going out for a steak dinner with him the night after. And he was a really great guest. And he puts on an amazing show. The Thinking Atheist is one of those cornerstone shows that atheists should know about. If you haven't checked out his show, The Thinking Atheist, you should. It's really great stuff. He's got a great YouTube channel. He's been doing a lot of live stream stuff too on Twitch. So check all that out. You can find all the information for that on this week's show notes. This is episode 401. So you can find out all the links to Seth's social media, as well as the stuff that he does, that he puts on the internet in all different types of formats, video and audio. But that's going to wrap it up for 401 for us, Tom. That's going to be it. And to another 401 more.
Why not? What the hell? I got no plans for the next 6 years.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.